video is sponsored by Squarespace. Now, I don't know about you, but I spend way too long glued to this blooming thing in day-to-day life. My screen time recently has been quite eye-watering, sometimes up to 6 hours a day, which is absolutely unacceptable. So I've been trying a lot of things recently to try and help myself use that time better and get unplugged from the matrix, using what I love most in the world, which is of course photography. Let's discuss whether we can make better habits using photography to be more present, be more mindful, and be less glued to this stuff. I think photography is the exact opposite of doom scrolling, where if staring at your phone numbs you and time whizzes by without you recalling what's happened, and at the end of it you feel like quite empty and you've got nothing to show for it, then photography makes me feel present. When I'm walking around on a photo walk and I'm using my senses and looking out for colours and stories and shapes and light, I feel there, in the moment, I'm very much alive. So the first thing that we can add into our lives to help get a little bit more mindful about photography, I think, is adding in some photo walks. Now, you can do this with little pockets of time, maybe when you walk the dog, maybe on your lunch break. For me, I try to have a daily step goal because I'm one of those obnoxious trying to be healthy people now. And I've habit stacked something that I don't enjoy very much, walking around in the cold in winter, with something that I enjoy very much indeed, which is taking my camera with me and trying to find some compositions. And stacking these habits together has made it much more enjoyable and more consistent for me. And I've been a little bit stressed in recent months where I've had a lot of deadlines and a lot of sitting at my desk, turning into a prawn. The best antidote for that is getting out and walking and taking a few photos. It snaps me out of it. It makes me realise what the hell I'm doing all this for. And it's such a great way to sort of ground myself back in the present and not think about loads of things that the anxiety machine spews out at you all the time. So if you would like to add more photo walks into your life, there's a few things I would recommend. If you have a very busy schedule, stick it in your calendar, like a dentist's appointment. Have this 20 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, whatever, in your diary, non-negotiably yours. That way you can't let yourself down. Thinking very much about your senses as you're on the photo walk. What can you smell? What can you see? You can even give yourself a few prompts while you're out there. One that I really like is looking for colours. So for instance, I'll go out and for that amount of time, I'll photograph red things or I'll photograph yellow things. And another one that I like is trying to take 8 to 10 photographs of the same subject. So you can think about shooting through things, you can change the composition, you could have a macro shot of it, you could have it very small on the horizon. Using these little prompts just in day-to-day life can keep your creative muscles working and keep you improving your craft even if you don't have a lot of time to commit to it. I've been giving a lot of time recently to doom scrolling and social media in general, and thinking about how a lot of people seem to have replaced legitimate hobbies with just screen time. And it actually pisses me off, not to be dramatic about it. And I've been thinking about why exactly that gets under my skin, and I've come to the conclusion that hobbies are a journey. There's an innate amount of struggle involved when we have our hobby. Even if it's as mundane as like doing a jigsaw, there's at least a path of resistance that you have to go through in order to achieve something. And doom scrolling is sort of the exact opposite of that. You turn your phone on and there's just a million little dancing monkeys ready to sort of steal your attention. And you don't have to work for it and it doesn't mean anything. And often, if you're like me, when you put the phone down, you can't even remember what you've done with the time. Like, for example, this year I started rock climbing, indoor rock climbing, and bouldering. When I first went, I'm not even exaggerating, it took me 3 entire sessions to even get to the top of the wall. It took me ages to get up the most silly, simple route. I call it smiley faces because, like, the actual handholds have little smiley faces on because it's built for children. It took me 3 hours to get to the top. Fast forward 9 months or so, and I can now do that as a warm-up, and I can do the next level up and the next level up. And in Tromsø, I even did what I believe is the tallest auto belay in Europe. I just think the reason that I just get such a buzz from it is remembering how far I've come, and remembering like the first time when I was on that wall, like my hands gripping on for grim death and looking down and thinking I was going to die, to being able to go up and down these big walls quite easily now. It just makes me really sad to think that a lot of people wouldn't ever get to experience that if they don't take on hobbies. And the same with photography. I had an epiphany at a wedding that I shot this year. I just did the one. I kind of came out of retirement, shrugged my little cape on like Batman and came out of retirement for a friend's wedding. And for years I've been experimenting with the dance shots at night. I've tried off-camera flash, I've tried on-camera flash, I've tried constant lights, I've tried no lights, and I've finally got this rhythm now. I've finally got the colours and the energy and the motion that I want to convey, that sort of party spirit in the nighttime shots. It's only took me like 10 years. And I just think photography is so beautiful for that. Even being a wedding photographer for over a decade, I'm still honing my craft and perfecting it and finding new things to do. And one guest thought I was drunk because I was, flailing my camera around like a madwoman. So that was quite funny. All of these examples are some of the highlights of my entire year. These breakthroughs, these epiphanies, I've been working hard at something and I've achieved it. I think that's what's lost when we doom scroll instead of work on our hobbies. So what about using photography to have a better, healthier mind? Sounds a little bit ambitious, right? I mean, a photo walk is one thing, but what about when you sat on the couch at night and you want to pick up your phone? Do you just pick up your camera and stare at it? I mean, I'm a nerd. It's not the worst thing in the world, but what other things that are photography adjacent could we do that could help us be more productive with our time? Here are some ideas for you. Instead of picking up your phone on ad breaks when the TV's on or whatever, try and pick up a book instead. Now you can have this on your phone, which is, a good little gateway drug to take you out of the apps and into something more productive. Or like what I've done recently is either have a separate device, like an e-reader, or buy the physical book. There are some great ways to do this with photography. One that's great is having copybook photography books. So I've got a couple. It's my New Year's resolution to buy some more because I find them so inspiring. Give me some recommendations in the comments. And one of my favorites is this Wildlife Photographer of the Year book. And I went to the exhibit in the British History Museum a couple of years back, and I actually had one or two photographs that brought me to tears. It was such a moving thing to see. I was so in awe of the talent and the stories, and it was just so beautiful. And these sorts of books are ideal to just pick up in an ad break because you have the photo and then you have a little paragraph about the photo. So you can absorb the photo, read about the photo, and just think what inspires you about it. What would you have done in that situation? Anything to sort of just input creativity into your brain instead of you giving your time to the monkeys in the Black Mirror. I'm also reading Steal Like an Artist at the moment, and that's good. It's got a couple of really digestible things. Even if you just have a few paragraphs and you can put it down, that's absolutely fine. So I recently shared this personal story in my newsletter, and it came about when I was thinking about, your year in a photo. In this year, I unfortunately lost my very old dog, Seven. Yes, she was 7 of 9, tertiary adjunct of Unimatrix 01, Lowry. She was named after a Star Trek character, and she was 15 years old, and unfortunately she just was old and died. And I was so sad, absolutely heartbroken. She was the first pet that I had that was mine, not a family pet. She was like my animal, my friend. And, don't get dusty, Emily. I like to think with my photography that I'm quite colourful, quite sunny. I'm quite a cinnamon roll of a person. And whenever I tried to take photographs in the weeks that followed losing Seven, all my photographs just became dark and monochrome and gritty. And it was so interesting. I'd never really considered the connection between how we feel as a person and what we're going through and how that comes out in our art, which is a very obvious connection in retrospect. The first time that I went out with my camera, I took the Leica X1 with moody, gritty monochrome, and I just put it in my bag out of habit, and we walked around like a lake that we used to take 7 around, and it was one of our favourite walks, and taking photographs was the last thing that I wanted to do in the world, but I just thought it can't hurt, can it? And I took this set of the most miserable photos you've ever seen. So unlike my usual sunny disposition. It's something sort of dislodged in my chest as I was doing this. Something connected. It's like, I remember photography. I can use this to help me get over this loss. And it really did help, just getting out there and using my camera to sort of process what was going on. And now a couple of months later, I'm at the phase now where I don't burst into tears the minute that I see her. Sometimes I do. So I apologise if that happens. But having these photographs, I was amazed that the photographs that I love the most of her are just mundane things. Like, we walked to Tesco to pick up some bread and I sat outside with her and she looked adorable. And then earlier on, a couple of years ago, we went wild camping quite a lot and we'd take her in tents, and I had this irrational fear that she would freeze to death overnight, and I would bundle her up in a dog sleeping bag and she'd get under my sleeping bag, and 9 times out of 10 she'd be panting because she would be too warm. So looking back at all these photographs made me realise, like, at the time when I went to Tesco for some bread and I thought I'd take a picture of my dog, it didn't occur to me in a million years that that photograph would be anything special. I think it was even taken on my phone. And now it's like one of my most cherished photographs. So what I'm trying to say is, like, in the day-to-day life, we never know which days are going to be meaningful for good reasons or bad reasons, not only just to be morbid about it. You know, you could accidentally take your camera out and just have the best day of your life. And we never know until time has passed and we see it in retrospect. So I think it's a really good life lesson for me to just always be documenting, always be present, and try to see all the important little intimate moments in life, because looking back, you never know whether these days are going to be vastly important for whatever reason. And if we don't document it, it is lost to time. I've so enjoyed running around with my beautiful 13 and 12-year-old dogs today. And without getting too sad, I think one day I'm going to look back at that footage and cherish it. So chuffed I managed to get through that without crying. Progress! One thing I've been doing that does involve my phone, but not social media, is I have this big ass photography book that's empty and you can add your own photos into. It holds a whopping 1,000 photos, which is crazy. And I've started this project of printing out all of my favourite photographs from 2025. And that might be looking through my photographs on my phone or through like Google Photos or whatever, choosing the ones that I want to do and then sending them to my little printer, which is the Selfie Canon printer. Or you could send it to a lab if that's easier for you. What I like about this project is because there's so many photos, spaces, you don't just have to have your bangers in there. You could have like the informal selfies or the photos that speak to you but might not speak to anyone else. There's so much room to fill. It's really nice to curate that and look back on your memories. And it's going to probably take a long time to fill this book. It may end up that that book is 2025 and 2026, but it's a good habit to get into. And then it can sort of become the thing that you pick up and look through as well once it's completed, which I'm quite excited to do. So here are some products that I've bought. This is all totally optional and you obviously don't need any of this to get started, but these are things that have helped me reduce my screen time recently. One is my e-reader. It's a Books Palmer 2. I'll link all this stuff in the description anyway. And it's phone sized and it's a completely black and white e-ink screen, and you can add Google Books or Kindle or Medium on there. If you want to pick up something, pick up that instead of your phone. I also love as well because it's very pocketable and you can take it out with you. Like sometimes I find the Kindle's a little bit chunky. If I'm only taking one handbag out with me, am I going to put a Kindle in it or am I going to put a camera in it? And I'm definitely going to put a camera in it. But I can fit this one anywhere because it's tiny. And then a top tip. This is in the accessibility area. If you are just rabid for your phone like I have been sometimes, if you turn it black and white, it makes all the difference in the world. So can you see my coloured screen? If I do 2 fingers up from the bottom, it goes black and white. And suddenly it's the most depressing crap thing to look at. I don't want to look on Instagram because I can't see the photos very well. I don't want to look at social media because it's black and white and boring. But that's quite an extreme tip. Only for the most extreme people with lack of self-control. And then, of course, books that inspire you. Coffee table books, books about productivity, books about photography, anything that will help you be more present in your hobby instead of wasting your time. Notice that at no point in this video have I talked about camera equipment, and I think that's a really important point. I think whether you have a dedicated camera or your phone on aeroplane mode, or an old camera, a film camera, anything goes. It's less about the output sometimes and more about just getting out there and being creative. So there is a new year approaching, depending on when you're watching this video. And I have set myself a January challenge, and you're welcome to join me if you would like. I'm going to do my week in a photo. If you have not much time, you could do your month in a photo. If you have lots of time and want to be really, really aggressive, you could do a day in a photo. And what I want to do is take my camera out and each week find a photo that represents that week. Some weeks might just be photographs of me at my desk. Some weeks I might be in a fancy place. Whatever it may be, I think it's such a great idea to have this project to keep us taking photographs very regularly, and also to really test our ability to find stories, even personal stories, especially personal stories in day-to-day life. Because not every day is going to be a day where we're on holiday and something fancy is happening. More often than not, we're going to be in our normal routine. And that's not an excuse to not take photos. I love photography! So there's plenty of alternatives to doom scrolling if we just set our minds to it. You could even arrange photo walks with friends. You could curate photo books for friends and family. You could re-edit old photographs. You could get a workshop or a course from someone that you admire and learn a new skill within photography. I think if you take one thing from this video, though, one piece of inspiration, I think just adding in a few more photo walks into your life can be really wonderful for 100 different reasons. It helps your mental health, it helps you stay present, it helps you be creative, it helps us use the blooming kit that we probably spend so long researching and then it sits on a shelf. Get out there with your camera is a New Year's resolution that maybe we should all have. So if you'd like to take any of these ideas into the new year, let me know. I'd love for people to get involved. And I think it's just a general great idea for us all to be using our phones less and our minds more. Huge thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. They've been a wonderful support of this channel for the last year, and they're a service that I use a lot. I've been a fan of theirs for many years. I did my wedding photography through Squarespace, and now I sell my own workshops and my own presets and blog into the ether on my Squarespace website, which is microphonenerds.com. I just think if you would like a place to be more mindful, to create and not consume, having your own personal website is a great step in that direction. You could use it to showcase your photo of the week or photo of the month. You could blog about the stories behind your photographs. You could write about books that inspire you, and then you could in turn inspire others. So if you'd like to have a go and create your own website, then you can do so for free. And then when you're ready to launch, you can use the code microphonenerds for a cheeky discount on your first website or domain. Thank you as always to Squarespace for sponsoring this video and this channel, and thank you all for listening to my strange waffles. I appreciate you all.